when torture arrives in our home. Torture has arrived in the United States. For several years, we have been painfully reminded of Abu Ghraib, damning evidence that the U.S. government engages in torture against humanity in secret and not-so-secret prisons abroad. What we as Americans did not realize was that torture has already arrived within America, and proof of this appeared this week in the horrifying videos that show UCLA police officers using a taser device on an innocent student. This from the Daily Bruin, and I quote, "The student had begun to walk toward the door with his backpack when an officer approached him and grabbed his arm, at which point the student told the officer to let him go. Ross said the officers used force because they felt they were in danger. According to a UCPD press release, Taba Tabiyajad went limp and refused to exit as the officers attempted to escort him out. The release also stated Taba Tabiyajad encouraged library patrons to join his resistance. At this point, the officers deemed it necessary to use the taser in a drive-stun capacity. He wasn't cooperative. He wouldn't identify himself. He resisted the officers, Young said." End quote. If the officers truly felt threatened, they certainly would not have grabbed his arm. The most alarming revelation to me is that when someone is not cooperative, does not reveal information sought for, and resists the will of officers, and they decide to taser him, not once, not twice, not thrice, no four, but one more, in hopes that he will comply and will reveal information. This is, by definition, torture, is it not? Torture on American soil by UCLA police officers. Just what has happened to my country? My country. Is it mine? Do I have any stake in this country, the United States of America, for which under President Bush and the Republican rule I have seen our worldwide respect diminished due to evidence of defying the Geneva Conventions? Also, while under President Bush my rights as a citizen repeatedly threatened by illegal wiretapping laws, poorly written laws that could revoke my right to habeas corpus, and greedy grabs for power, enabling the president to declare martial law over the objection of any state's governors. Do I have any reassurance the safety of others and I within the United States of America are protected by the U.S. Constitution and the laws that govern my life? If the incident at Powell Library is any indication, no, I do not have any assurance. With hesitation, I wonder if my faith in the U.S. government and local authority to protect me is misguided. I can only hope that as Americans learn of the horrendous actions by the UCLA police, that we all awaken to the true reality of our country, that our government continues to create a fictional reality to manipulate our emotions and support their false causes. Our fear is increasing, and our hate and intolerance is widening with no cap in sight. Collectively, as a nation, we need to stop treating everyone as potential terrorists. We cannot take the words of President Bush to heart and truly believe his never-ending stream of lies, that a victory for the Democrats is a victory for terrorists, or Vice President Cheney's remarks that a dunk in the water is a no-brainer means just that, a pleasant dunk in the water to quench a poor detainee's thirst amid the dry wasteland of wrongful persecution. That kind of talk only weakens us as a nation, and after 6 years of rule by President Bush, our nation is becoming weaker with each passing week. The Bush administration has tried to brainwash the American people to fear the unknown, to fear the number 9/11, to see it on the clock in the morning as they wake, and again at night as we lay our heads to sleep, to always from this day forward look up when we see a plane and always wonder if we'll see it crash, to suspect people of Arab descent or of Muslim faith to be terrorists, to assume one is an Arab when they are not, to allow our media off the hook after they ask our Muslim congressmen and leaders if they are in fact working for the enemy. Many of us do this not because we are racist by choice, but because our government perpetuates false beliefs as to who our enemies are to justify an illegal war on Iraq. They consistently state that if we do not win in Iraq, we'll soon have terrorists blowing up bombs within the United States. That kind of threatening, lying, fear-mongering, manipulative talk does no one any good. Where is our leadership that in fact leads with strong moral conscience without relying on gods or religion, but instead leads by example because he understands the value of humanity and gives the people of America hope, a hope to be proud of? To heal, the American people need a collective purging of our mental state. We all walk alone, shameful of what America has become, feeling the scorn of our international neighbors. We need a collective catharsis to shed our souls of addicting escapist habits and know that all will be okay once more, if only we can claw ourselves out of the pit of lies our government has sought to bury us within. Batting away the dirt that flies upon our faces, we hopefully in vain reach for truths that will pull us toward the light and away from the darkness of our times. We need to divorce ourselves from this bad relationship we have with the president and with the current administration, so that we can redeem ourselves for having blindly followed him towards Afghanistan, and then once more to Iraq, and possibly once again to Iran. We cannot possibly move on and rid ourselves of fear until we remove President Bush and the rest of his administration from office. It is they who constantly utilize propaganda media so that we are reminded daily that we must do nothing but consume product and fear and buy product, buy new addictions and ignore the reality so that we can justify fearing the wrong people, the wrong ideas, and subscribe to only those ideals that Bush says are valid, that God is great, and we are right because God loves America. I do not feel that anyone could be proud and loving of America's actions during these trying times, not even God. It is Bush and his administration that perpetuates our fear. It is they that teach us to hate and to be intolerant of others. It is the President of the United States of America that has created a cultural situation in which police officers fear terrorism so much they feel justified in asking an American born of Iranian descent for a student ID, and then, after he protests, they repeatedly taser him while he screams in writhing pain and agony. Torturing citizens to comply with their wishes has arrived in the U.S. Americans are better than that. Americans are stronger than that. We must stand up to being manipulated to fear, which does not threaten us, and to hate, who does not hate us. We are Americans, and the Bush administration cannot play us as fools, and we must remove the cancer from office that plagues the welcoming, tolerant, and freedom-loving spirit of all Americans. Otherwise, torture in the U.S. is here to stay.